What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? Mr. Rad and Chuckles here, and we have another world-renowned RX8 versus bicycle race. So if you remember the last video, Calvin brought out his lovely Z28 Camaro and challenged me to race the RX8 against my Yamaha Zuma scooter. Now, the scooter has lived in my parents' basement for a very long time and it doesn't run. So I brought out a bicycle. And I think that Chuckles is very intimidated by me racing him in my RX8 against me on a bicycle. So
I will say, driving it over here almost killed it like twice. So we'll see how it goes.
We might have the pedal mod on the driver mod of the RX8, but I think this should be pretty funny. So our race, we are in the well-renowned Mexico here. This is complete and totally not where the Rad Ranch is or not a public street. So do this at your own risk. We are racing approximately 50 feet, which I think gives me a pretty good advantage. So I have about 9 gears I have to shift. Chuckles probably doesn't have to shift. I'm curious. I really think this might be closer than you think.
I don't know. I think I got you.
Chuckles always taking the winning side of every race we've done so far. So
I mean, when you're a natural born winner, you got to win.
Well, I'm a natural born, give it 150% of my effort. So hopefully I don't just fall over in 50 feet after pedaling my heart out on this bicycle. So let me give you the rundown on the bike though. Little bike check. This is a Rocky Mountain Altitude. It's pretty new, 29er, carbon wheels, aluminum frame, so it's heavy and it should put up a pretty good fight.
I don't think it's going to hang.
You don't think it's going to hang at all?
Nope.
I think it'll do pretty well.
Unless I kill it. If I kill it, you might win.
I'm going to go ahead and just take the hit on this one because I'm in a much inferior vehicle. And we'll get our one last ride in for the RX8 before we take it apart. And one last race in for Mr. Rad and Chuckles with the yellow RX8 before it gets the big engine. So, ready for this?
Absolutely.
I'm ready to crush you.
Intimidated yet?
Trying to flex my Sprag clutches on you. That's me revving it up. So when I get there first, you'll still be seeing that. All right, make sure I don't slip a pedal. Got no traffic in Mexico, you ready? That was way closer than I thought, and I think he was actually trying. All right. I got a downshift.
Are we gonna specify this is round 2?
I mean, you probably only got me by like a bike length.
Yeah, I know, but I was gonna leave it in reverse and go backwards first and then go back forward.
Okay. All right, Mr. Confident. You best make sure it's in forward.
Oh yeah.
That was honestly way closer than I thought, and I am far less out of breath than I thought I would be after that. Turns out, staying in shape. Big win.
I think if you grabbed a little bit less gear, you could have it. I mean, yeah, you're pretty close.
Pretty close. 2 out of 3 though, he already got me.
Until it actually like gets out of the RPM, up into RPM, it doesn't really go anywhere and you're ahead.
I mean, the car made peak 130.5 horsepower and 90 foot-pounds of torque. I bet I can make more than 90 foot-pounds of torque, so I should be able to get off the line a lot faster than the yellow car, but... All right, I think we're going to leave it at that, guys. The RX8, a little bit faster than man on bicycle, but for now, we're going to go back to the shop and take this entire perfectly good running car apart because we want to try the hybrid. Okay. I love taking apart a perfectly good running and driving car. We just drove it in here, moved it over to the side. Y'all might be like, because in this video you can see that there's a car lift. Why aren't you taking the engine out on a car lift? Well, you see, the car lift can be convenient and inconvenient for some things. So we're gonna get the engine out over here. We're gonna put the hybrid engine in, get it set, and then we'll move it over to the lift so we can build the exhaust and stuff like that. This thing is dirty. Who decided to never wash it? Me. Airbox. Oh yeah. Let's use the trusty battery tray as our bolt collector since this will be a fast project here. Won't be needing the air pump anymore. All right, the sewn adapter, got some zip ties to cut on that. We can start taking these water lines off. And then I'll probably crawl into the car on the ground, not on my lift, and undo the exhaust, bell housing bolts, and then I'll drain the oil probably last. But I'm going to be removing this engine with the engine harness. The engine harness flipped onto the engine, so we're going to take this out. It's what I'm going to call like a long block versus a short block. I will still take off the upper intake manifold, just because it's a little bit easier to lift the engine out with that on versus when you have this on, everything kind of runs into everything. It's just a little bit in the way, large and in charge. And there's some stuff that's easier to reach with this off, like on this side and everything, but it's not too bad to get the upper intake off. Some 10 mil bolts and a couple plugs here and there. That's unusual. Usually this piece comes off attached to the intake. I think somebody didn't put the bolts in. And just like that, we're pretty much ready to rip this engine out of here. So under the car, what I pulled out was bell housing bolts, exhaust brace to the transmission. We've got a transmission harness we had to disconnect, which is this. Exhaust to mid-pipe bolts. This isn't an FD-RX7, so we don't have a dumb pull-style clutch. Ready to take the engine mounts out right now and then just finagle this AC compressor off of here, and we should be pretty much ready to test the tensile strength of whatever I forgot. Yes, this is an engine mount bolt. It's just way down there. Same on this side. POV, engine mount removal. There we go. This is the least fun part about taking out an RX8 engine. The engine mounts don't clear the frame, so this car was designed around engine removal being subframe out. You just drop it out the bottom. However, we're gonna leave the whole car together to take the engine out the top, so I've got to remove the engine mount bracket from the side of the engine such that the engine will fit through the frame rails. It's a 17 millimeter. You really kind of have to do it once you've, you could break everything loose, but once you've lifted the engine up, they're kind of going to come out as you lift the engine out. They don't just nicely come out of the car. One of those whole, the engineer designed it, but the technician might have done it a different way. That's what we're dealing with. Now we're loose, ready to lift the engine out. Hey, you know how my yellow RX8 kind of vibrated a little bit? This is the engine mount. That's the engine mount without the part that holds the engine. Love it. Tetris for adults. Just gotta find the right spot for it to fall out. All right, engine can be removed now. Huzzah! Look at that. That thing right there just made 130.5 wheel horsepower on the dyno. Just a crusty old 13B Renesis. Gotta love it. So pretty much, I don't think I tested the tensile strength of anything. Ultimately, aside from there's a ground wire on the intake that I forgot to unhook. Definitely wise choice, just have your AC discharged and not try to fight the compressor getting the engine out, because that was kind of a pain in the butt. Ultimately, the part that hindered me the most. So with that, this thing is ready for the hybrid. One of the coolest parts though about this whole entire engine swap is, have you ever seen a glow-in-the-dark bucket? Check this out. That's a glow-in-the-dark bucket, and that's because I dropped my flashlight in the coolant bucket. Gotta love it. Have yet to, I'll fish that out later. It's good to know that my flashlight's waterproof though, so that's a win. Minimal destruction, plenty of room for V8s and or hybrids and or big nasty turbos. Pretty pumped. Probably just gonna take the AC out because I'm pretty sure my front line is leaking, and it is slowly leaked this whole time, and it's now out because it quit, but that's okay. We didn't damage our plastic, very fragile coolant reservoir. your starter harness and all of that. So like this stuff all goes down to the starter. You can just flip all that forward and get it out of your way pretty easily. Shove everything down on your radiator fans. As far as looking at a Renesis, this is a Renesis with some leaves, courtesy of Southern Ohio Forest Rally, and the Bennett built coils. Check that out. Pretty pumped. So pretty nice to leave the harness on here, but as you saw, trying to fight this thing out of that engine bay with the upper intake manifold on would have been a chore because it would have just been tearing up the firewall. So another thing we're gonna do, which you all just see it disappear between now and the next video, is I'm gonna take all this insulation out of here and get this engine bay cleaned up. But the important thing that we need to do, like right now, is I really want to get the hybrid engine set in the car so that I can eye up, just eye chronometer, we got to eye up what we need to be able to make the header and make the engine mount on that side. So I want to show you guys that real quick. We're going to set this one down. We're just going to slide over here and grab the one with no accessories, no intakes, no nothing. We're going to stick it in there and we're going to check out what's going to ultimately be basically the crux of this whole problem, is putting a header and an engine mount on this side that allows the hybrid to ride in here. Don't worry guys, we can put this engine in here without a flywheel and a clutch. We're going to be taking it right back out. It's also nearly impossible to get the lower intake manifold on a Renesis while the engine is in the car. So this is just for hybrid science. We got this. Let's pop this thing right in here. Take 3 seconds. Took me like 2 hours, maybe an hour and 45 minutes to get to the point where that other one's sitting on the ground over there. And then we still got to accessorize this one. We got to clean all the stuff from this engine, clean the parts off, grab the flywheel and clutch, put that stuff on this one. So we still got a good bit of work to do prepping the hybrid to go in the car. But we need to do some measuring. I guess I could have taken the hood off, but we're hood on kind of guys today. Look at that. One smooth motion. Oh, it's so much nicer. This engine doesn't have all the accessories on it. Success. Let me go down a little bit. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, guys, the hybrid is now sitting in here. And this is where the problem arises with this engine swap and why everyone's like, oh, do the hybrid, it's so easy. Check this out. So, I don't even have the rubber engine mount in there, but this deal is supposed to go. Oh, come on. Adult touchers, come on, we got this. This goes right here, pretty much. I need to get my light. It's too dark for y'all. So we're gonna retrieve the light. Don't ask why this coolant isn't green. I have no idea. I don't know why it's orange. I know you guys can just feel the grime of that exact transaction of retrieval. Okay, here's what we've got, guys. All this extra coolant dripping everywhere. Yeah, so we got that going for us, which is nice. But the engine mount is in the way of everything. Fitting tubes through there, building a header, doing everything. So what I'm thinking is this. Coolant gone. I think I want to make priority number 1 the header. So I'm going to take the engine where it's at right now. I'm going to set a block of wood or something. I'll cut whatever I need to sit under the transmission. So the engine and trans actually will rest on the subframe if you just like let them all the way down with no engine mounts. I don't know if the front hub pulley will clear, but regardless, we'll put a block of wood under there. That's going to be where the engine is going to sit. Okay, so if we got to like move the engine up, down, left, right, however we want, we can change the style of engine mount, like build a new engine mount on both sides, do what we got to do. But we're going to try to put the engine in the factory position. I want to build the header so that we can try to optimize the flow out of the header. And then I will build a custom engine mount to go around the header such that we can actually hold this thing in the car. So, the hybrid is in the RX8. We're ready to make more progress. I think I'm going to need maybe 3 1.5-inch J-bins and 2 1.5-inch to probably 2-inch collectors. And then we'll do the 2 2-inch collectors into a 1, probably 2.5-inch, and we'll make a 2.5-inch mid pipe with no muffler. We'll run the 2.5-inch mid pipe out, and then we'll connect it to the bumper melter 9000, which is still on the car. The old exotic speed exhaust for now. So I think that is going to be too loud, but we're going to roll with it. So one last look, guys. Here's your hybrid. We're not going into witness protection. We're pushing through and we're going to get this thing done. So basically undo everything I just did, build a header and engine mount, car will start. Just that simple. So with that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As soon as my parts get here, the next video, you're going to see this moved in the lift up in the air. We build a header. We take the header to the guy to get welded. We build an engine mount around the header. Boom, diggity. Fire up the car. Take it to Ernie with Versatuner. Beep, boop, beep. Over 200 horsepower. That's the goal. So with that, keep it rad. We'll see y'all in the next one. So, the dog, Letty, is tired. Aren't you, Letty? You about ready to go home? Yeah? It's been a crazy day, hasn't it? You know, this yellow car, who knows, it might just be so good it might stay together, but I highly doubt that. I really want turbos. And, you know, maybe fancy parts. Peace, guys.